because it should be streaming now, and then I'll talk, and you should be able to hear me.
Yeah, we had a little party for her and Marlene.
Turn up your sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. ETAC meeting will start at 4 o'clock.
So
Welcome to May 9th, 2023 ETAC meeting. Recording secretary, is the meeting being recorded?
Yes.
My name is Brian Germain, and I'm the chair of the Environmental Transportation Advisory Commission. I would like to call this ETAC meeting on May 9th, 2023 to order at 4:05 p.m. We have 6 items on the agenda, including the consent calendar. Recording secretary, please call roll and advise if there will be any commissioners requesting an excused absence or remote participation due to invoking of their emergency provision physical absence.
Mario Alvarado is not yet present. Carl Benninger? Here. Brian Germain?
Here.
Nathaniel Greensides?
Here.
Janelle McLaughlin requested an excused absence. Dorian Romero?
Here.
Janelle Welker?
Here.
Chair Germain, you have a quorum.
At this time, I would like to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Recording secretary, please describe the way the public can access this virtual meeting.
This meeting is being live streamed on the City of Santa Ana portal at www.santa-ana.primegov.com/public/portal. If anyone would like to provide a public comment, they may do so in person or call in to 714-647-5022. The opportunity to speak is going to follow the next comment. If you wish to speak by audio, please call in to 714-647-5022 and advise that you would like to speak. You will be placed in a holding queue, and you will be called upon by the name or number that you entered. If any members of the public are present at this in-person meeting, you may complete a speaker card and then hand it to me. You will have 3 minutes to speak. We will alert you when your time is up.
Moving on to public comments on agenda items or non-agenda items. I like to make it where we have agenda items spoken at the time the agenda is open. That item is open. So recording secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
There is one public speaker so far, and her name is Michelle McAuliffe. And she would like to request to speak at the time of that agenda item.
Understood. Thank you. Commissioners. McLaughlin has requested an excused absence. There's no remote participation due to emergency provisions. Is there a motion and a second to approve consent calendars 1 through 4?
I make the motion, Commissioner Benninger, that we accept 1 through 4.
Commissioner Benninger, I don't believe that you're able to make a motion because of your promotion, your movement to the Planning Commission.
You're right.
Respectfully, I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine.
It'll have to be another commissioner.
Understand.
I'm so sorry.
Commissioner Greensides, I'll make the motion.
Commissioner
Is there a
Welker,
second?
I'll
Welker.
second the motion.
Thank you. Commissioner Greensides has made a motion to approve consent calendar items 1 through 4, and Commissioner Welker has seconded the motion. Can we take a vote? Chair Germain,
Aye.
Vice, no, Commissioner Greensides,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Welker.
Yes.
The motion passed.
Moving on to business calendar items. Before we begin, I'd like to seek if we can, if there's a first let me make the call. I'd like to see item number 6 moved before item number 5, and we'll proceed the rest of the evening as scheduled. So I'm seeking for a motion.
Commissioner Welker, I'll make the motion to move item 6 before item 5.
Do I need a second for that, recording secretary?
Commissioner Greensides, I'll second.
Microphone.
We need to vote on that. Chair, your vote.
Aye.
Commissioner Greensides,
Yes.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Welker.
Yes.
The motion passes to move item 6 before item 5.
Moving on to item number 6, recognition of Vice Chair Carl Benninger for outstanding service. And at this time, we'll
Thank you, Chair. I would like to, I hadn't had it written down, so I'd like to make my comments while I am here. And just want to take this opportunity to recognize Commissioner Carl Benninger for his service on ETAC. Carl and I go a long way. It was a pleasure for him to join me at ETAC, being the longest-serving ETAC commissioner as of today, and would like to thank him for all of the work that we've done together. I know he was the voice of reason at ETAC at all times, and always looking for the community's benefit, and never lost sight of the reason why we here at ETAC is benefit of the city and city residents. One thing I like to share with you about Carl is that what impressed me the most is something that happened most recently is I believe that Commissioner Benninger took it upon himself to resolve the issues that arise between the city and the school district and the use of their community rooms. For a while, the city was not allowed to go in and use the rooms as it used to be. So things changed, but I know that Commissioner Benninger took it upon himself to resolve those issues. And, you know, so I don't want to say I was surprised, but he made it happen. And now the city outreach initiative or neighborhood initiatives are able to use the community rooms like we used to, and I really appreciate that. And it does serve the city and the school and the residents very well to go back to where we were before. And I believe that is a tremendous accomplishment that you took it upon yourself to resolve these very difficult issues, knowing what the relation is between us and the school district. And we would like to thank you for that, although it is not directly related to ETAC, but it's something that is community based, and I really impressed me, and thank you for that, because it is something that you took on and accomplished, and that speaks a lot about you and your love to the community, and love to the city, and I'd like to thank you for that. Now I'd like to present you with two humble gifts from the Public Works Agency. I know you're not leaving us. You're staying with the city community, going to the Planning Commission. I'm sad that we're losing you at ETAC here, but I'm happy for you for your promotion and going to do good things at the Planning Commission. I do have a couple of gifts for you if you'd like. I'd like to present you those. So, it is a certificate that we have. We do, give these certificates to our employees when they do really good job. And I know Carl did a fantastic job here at ETAC, and I'd like to present that to you. And at the same time, we do have a coffee cup for him with the Public Works logo on it, and I hope you enjoy the coffee there, and make sure you use it. Carl, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Same here. Thank you.
Novella and I met each other for the first time on a trip up to see the water system at think of the Woods Dam up there, Orville Dam. And that's where we first met, and we coached chemies, and so that immediately had us something together. Now, I hope this doesn't, I also shared with them that I hope this doesn't end like my high school. In my high school, upon graduation, they touted us over to church, brought us back, 144 guys. We couldn't leave the gymnasium until all the caps and gowns were turned in, everybody had their diploma. And then our vice chair got up in front of the stage, and he was this burly New Yorker, and he said, "Gentlemen, you are now a graduate of this fine institution. Get the hell out." And so that's my parting words. I was worried I was going to have to give him the shirt today, too. But again, I've enjoyed my time here at ETAC. I enjoy working with all of you. I've learned so much from each of you, and even the younger generation. Sometimes I get set in my ways, and I appreciate the change of thought. And so keep on bringing the ideas, keep on thinking. So let me open this up so everyone can see. Put it in the box. Oh, super. Very nice. Thank you. I even brought my Red Wing jersey in so you can see it for the last time.
At this time, if we may go to comments or public comments at this time.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Michelle McAuliffe. I'm with the City of Santa Ana Public Works. I had the pleasure of first meeting Commissioner Benninger, AKA Carl, my first day working for the city at my first community meeting. Carl was so nice in welcoming me to the city and very encouraging in my new position. Carl, your kindness that night confirmed that I was working for a very special city. Carl, we want you to know how much our Public Works team appreciates all your extra assistance in connecting us with the community. You're always so very helpful and kind. If everyone was like you, the world definitely would be a better place. We want you to know how grateful we are for you in giving so generously of your time to make our Santa Ana community better. You inspire all of us to be as good as you in making the world a better place. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate that.
At this time, any commissioners have any comments, anything you want to share?
When I first, Commissioner Welker, when I first joined ETAC a little over a year ago, I think Carl was the first person to welcome me into. I didn't know that you were leaving us today, so I'm sad to see you go, but I know you'll do great things for the Planning Commission.
Commissioner Romero, it's been a pleasure to get to know you here at ETAC. Carl, I can sense you have a lot of knowledge with your time working and being involved in the city, and I wish you well in your new location, Planning Commission, and expect an email from me to collaborate on a community room.
Thank you.
Commissioner Greensides, I've always appreciated Carl's energy and knowledge and expertise. And it's always been exciting to see Carl out attending various events, even when it's not necessarily related to his ward, because he cares about all residents of the city. Definitely will miss seeing the regular updates of your grandkids and how they're all doing and hear about the updates therein. And I look forward to seeing the great work I expect you will be doing on the Planning Commission. So thank you for your service.
Thank you. In fact, 2 weeks from now, I'll be up with a grandchild. So him and I are going to eat blueberries together, 500 feet from the Pacific Ocean. So we'll have a good time.
Commissioner Jermaine, Carl, like, it's surprising. I'm trying to really put together some great words. You know, sometimes it's best just to, you know, come off the cuffs and speak it. I've seen you in so many different places. You know, Carl, your energy, your activism is inspirational. And your intelligence, and then you can bring it back down and I can sit at a bar with you still, right, to this day and age, and have a drink. You know, so I think you're more broader of an individual than you may have seen, but you impact a lot of folks. And when I say broad, I mean that broad impact that you've had on your community and also on your friendships that you've had throughout the years, from Michigan, from coast to coast, you know, and, you know, it's definitely true to what Michelle was saying. More of you on this planet, this world will be a greater place. And so thank you for your kindness and offering yourself to all of us. And thank you to your wife as well for allowing you to do so. So much appreciation to both you and her. Thank you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed meeting you and enjoyed some of the conversations that we've had together. We've gotten down nitty-gritty on some stuff periodically. And we just enjoyed it. We always respect each other, and that's appreciated very much. So thank you.
It's kind of hard to separate from that, you know. I don't.
I'm here for development. So get the hell out.
You know, we know you're. We got to move on to the next item, but knowing that you're still going, you're still moving forward, it's great to see that you're recognized. So, for all that you've done, really appreciate it. Moving on to item number 5, preliminary capital improvement program updates. And this item is informational. May we have the presentation of this item?
We have Haley Gilbert making the presentation on the capital improvement program for the city. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Haley Gilbert. I'm a projects manager here in the CIP Engineering Division of Public Works Agency, and I'm very excited to share our proposed 23-24 capital improvement. I wanted to start off by highlighting some of our recently completed CIP projects. So we have Lincoln Pedestrian Pathway, we have Grovemont Water Main, we have Garnsey Business District Pavement Rehabilitation. To the bottom, we have Main and Walnut Pedestrian Hybrid Beacon, a really nice crosswalk. And we have Stormwater Channel Fencing Upgrades Phase 2 with that really, really upgraded fencing that we're trying to implement throughout the city. So all of these projects were funded in the city's financial document called the CIP. One important thing that I want you to note throughout this presentation is that Public Works Agency is over 90% grant funded. So with that come a lot of strings with those monies. And I wanted to highlight some of the funding that actually activates many of our projects citywide. So some of the funding sources that are relied on for the fiscal year 23-24 CIP are going to start with local funding and grant funds. So some of the local funds that we have are actually HUDA gas tax, and in particular, a majority we receive gas tax that funds our operating budget for maintenance and our public works operating. But we specifically have SB1, Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Account, RMRA for short, funding annually that goes towards our arterial street rehabilitation and reconstruction. Those fundings are very, very valuable for the city's pavement condition index. It's a citywide PCI score that we maintain at 70, we try to maintain at 75% or better, which helps us be eligible for greater grant flexibility, better match rates for our grants, and it keeps our community and our residents very happy because we have some of the best roads in Orange County. Additionally, we have general fund, which is allocated through the city council. All of these fundings are going to be allocated through the city council and will be presented at the first reading of the budget in June. We have TSIA, Transportation System Improvement Area fees, and we also have federal Clean Water Enterprise funding. Moving on to our grant funds, we have Congestion Management and Air Quality, CMAQ for short, funding a lot of our bike and traffic improvement projects. We have Active Transportation Program funding, and that is comprised of both state and federal grants. Measure M2, local fair share funding, as well as competitive arterial capacity enhancement funding through Orange County Transportation Authority. And lastly, we have CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Program funding, which is going to fund many of our citywide municipal projects. Really quickly, the CIP is actually a document organized by classification of infrastructure or facility. And a really easy way to say that is it's public works planning document for our projects. We have a one-year CIP, which is adopted for our budget annually to get over 30 projects considered at one time for all of our engineers to start designing and working on these projects. And we also have a 7-year plan, which will give us a planning schedule, options for financing, and will identify the capital projects and infrastructure that we need, as well as unfunded projects and priorities. I wanted to show you a little bit of what our CIP book looks like. So this is an example of our one-year budget, and you can see that the projects are going to be listed by category. We have the CIP projects fall into 4 broad categories: streets, traffic, utility drainage, lighting, and city and park facilities. With that, we also list all of the funding sources and the totals listed at the top so that you can read it in the document, similar to a table of contents of a book. We have subtotals of each subcategory as well as the category totals. So the proposed total for our street improvements for next year is actually $31,064,000. I wanted to show you a snapshot of what our CIP is currently looking like for next year. And keep in mind, this is a one-time budget consideration. Throughout the year, we're constantly amending our CIP to add any monies that are new. And if grant awards roll in throughout the year, or if certain projects receive additional monies from different divisions for increased construction bid or other types of additional scopes of work requested. For next year, our CIP budget is estimated at $36,986,850. Now, one thing that's very, very important to note is that our water and our sewer enterprise are doing such a phenomenal job in their tackling of their 10-year plan to upgrade the city's water and sewer infrastructure throughout the next several years. They actually they have $75 million in active water and sewer projects. So although you do not see a very large amount listed on our utility drainage and lighting category, traditionally that amount is much larger annually. All of the monies are currently being extended in these active projects. So I am very confident that throughout the year we will likely amend the CIP and add water monies. That is a little bit of a reduction from prior years. That's important to note, and we just wanted to bring to your attention. One thing that we're going to start with is the street improvements category, which, as we noted, is already funded at $31 million. Moving on to traffic improvements, which is funded at $3.4 million. And as we discussed, we do not have any new funding that is being added into this budget action to the CIP for our water and sewer outside of one of our King Street urban greening projects through our NPDES program. I always kind of mess up that acronym a little bit. With municipal improvements, we have $2.4 million of citywide parks and facilities projects that we're going to be tackling next year. So I know it's a little bit hard to see, but we wanted to give you a snapshot of the different subcategories per each umbrella category for the capital improvement program. And you can see that we have 3 projects under the planning category for street improvements, as well as a majority of our roadway improvements. There's going to be 7 projects funded through RMRA funding. That's that special gas tax that's for local streets and roads program. And those 7 projects will amount to over $7 million, close to $7.8 million of enhancements. You can see that we actually also included a Westminster Avenue rehabilitation from Harbor to New Hope project, which is fully funded from a new revenue source that Public Works was able to leverage from our solid waste contract through, it's a new vehicle impact fee that is refuse monies that is going to help accommodate for the very, very heavy vehicles that is driving on our streets and impacting our citywide PCI. One thing I'm really excited about is this is one of the first years that we have been able to add on over $20 million into our city's pavement management program budget. And that's actually the sweet spot is around $16 million to $20 million annually to maintain our streets and roads so that it doesn't detriment further. So thank you for your support, and we're going to keep on asking City Council for their continued support as well. Moving on to our street and bridge improvements. We have several Bristol and Warner phases of our major right-of-way projects that we're advancing through in different segments. And the reason why Public Works does that is because we're actually more competitive when we break it up into segments. When you're going into a regional grant funding program, our engineers actually strategize and calculate each grant application to make sure that we're going to be successful for the community. So although it is more work on our end and it's a little bit more admin, and sometimes you might get a little confused, is this Bristol Phase 4, 3A, 2? You might be a little bit confused about that, but I'm constantly sharing that the reason why we're doing that is so that we get the most bang for our buck. Additionally, with some of our Bristol and Warner street improvement projects, we also have Fairview Bridge and street improvements, which is another one of our big improvement projects. For our local street rehabilitation, we have $1.5 million annually, which we're very excited about, general fund supported for our alley improvement program. In prior years, that was not always a project that had a sustainable funding source. So we're very excited moving forward that will be funded in our 7-year CIP through our a dependable funding source. Additionally, we have local street preventative maintenance project, $3 million annually, and our industrial street repair program that we're very excited to move on and tackle some of our industrial streets, which are pretty pricey. With our traffic improvements, we have $3.4 million currently proposed, comprising of 4 planning projects that help the city with our traffic operating costs and other different types of project development, traffic management plans and studies, signal equipment replacement, and as well as safety project development. In terms of the traffic improvement projects, we have a lot of exciting ones going on. There's a Orange Avenue Complete Streets project, a Segerstrom Avenue and Spruce traffic signal install. There's also going to be several other projects that are protected bike lane projects on Bristol. Looks like from Civic Center to Washington, First to Civic Center, St. Andrew to Edinger, as well as Warner Avenue protected bike lanes from Oak to Grand. So we're implementing bicycle and other multimodal features into all of our right-of-way improvement projects to make the arterials and the streets shared spaces. So we're very, very excited about that. For our public utility and drainage improvements, this is that King Street Urban Greening Project. It's a very, very exciting activation of an otherwise, underutilized area. So we're very excited to implement this project. And lastly, thank you for your patience. We're on our last slide. We are reviewing the city and park improvements. So this is going to be our municipal improvements that are going to be our main library renovation project, Logan and Chepas Park master design, as well as fire station removal storage tanks, and a police athletic and activities league ADA restrooms project. Something that's very, very important to note is that there is an abundance of ARPA funding that the City Council allocated already towards municipal improvements. For instance, the main library renovation project, it's a multi-million-dollar project. So those funding were already allocated in a prior budget action. They kind of forgot to add it to the CIP. We're going to go ahead and amend the CIP when they're awarding the construction contract and adding money on. So it's very typical that the CIP will start at about $35 to $65 million. Towards the end of the fiscal year, it's upwards of $99 million with all of the added monies that we're going to be adding and working on. So with that, I aggregated, this is actually our last slide. I went ahead and aggregated this to our 7-year CIP and just showing you that we actually do track the gas tax revenues on an annual basis. We're tracking all of our local revenues through TSAA, our drainage area fees, and we're always looking at activating any revenues that we have, interest earns on revenues, and putting that back into the ground and into the projects so that we can make sure that we're keeping our community very dynamic. So with that, I will move on to see if there are any questions.
Commissioners, any questions? Please state your name before moving forward. Looks like Greenside, you had a hand up.
Yes, Commissioner Greensides, thank you. Thank you for the excellent presentation. Was this available before today's meeting anywhere?
This is actually the very first time that we're doing this presentation in this draft form. It's going to be going to City Council for review, I believe, in the first June 6th read.
Okay.
And we're also going to be presenting this at the Planning Commission on May 16th. So this was the first presentation that we're doing for the proposed budget.
Thank you for presenting it to us. Understanding that it's a draft, I would still like to add that it would be nice to have, especially the slide with the line items. It's really hard to see, even on the YouTube video right now, the line items. It would be nice to be able to see those ahead of time, if not a little more clearly and easily during the meeting. But besides all that, I really appreciate all the information and the plan that will be taking place. And so I'm happy to see that roadway improvements, street and bridge improvements, and local street rehabilitation. My question is, how much of these dollars will go into literature, into the neighborhoods, and for residents who are being affected by projects that will be taking place? Because past few years, everybody's been complaining about construction throughout the streets, which is for everybody's benefit, but it'd be nice to know that there's going to be, for example, where I live, jackhammering all day outside of my window when I work from home.
Definitely. And we're very, as a resident myself, I'm very cognizant. It feels like every project is under construction right now, especially in the downtown area. So that's one thing that luckily I know that our director is very tuned in on. So we're very, very fortunate that we have a full-time public works staff. I think that you know her, Michelle Malikoff. So one thing that we do before we are going into construction is make sure that there's public notice for all of our projects. So one thing that with the CIP, it's going to be planned projects that it's a grant requirement that we actually need to go by resolution and formalize these projects. In terms of the actual public information, I know that in advance of any construction project, we are going to have those public meetings and community meetings where we actually go to all of the affected community neighborhoods and share about the project. In terms of the actual budget, I can't give you that dollar amount, but I do know that there's quite a significant amount of project management time that's allocated in coordinating those community meetings. And we also get a lot of, we do different types of outreach in terms of, I know that Michelle, I can give a little bit more information I can find out a little bit more information as per Michelle's process. However, one thing that we're really amping up this year is our Geographic Information System, GIS, to put all of this information on the city's website so you can actually look up and see, okay, right now you can actually look up our active construction map and see. But we want it to be very user-friendly. Maybe it can be something that you can even activate on your mobile device at one point. So that's something that we're always being cognizant of and trying to make sure that the transparency element is there. So I will definitely jot that down and make sure that I find out more about our process in terms of notifying in advance of our construction.
Perfect. And I think it should also be a part of any bids that go out for proposals, that the contractors, especially if they're going to be doing something. For example, my driveway was blocked in the Willard neighborhood. Exit at 15th on North Flower was blocked for like solid 6 hours, and people didn't know what to do, and they couldn't find it, and then was creating other traffic because North Flower and 17th, there was other construction happening. So Willard was just kind of a mess for probably a month. It's probably 6-7 months ago now. But in any event, I would hope that it could be, the contractor can knock on the door. They're right outside and say, hey, we're going to be doing this today, and letting folks know this is what's happening.
Definitely door-to-door notification flyers, and as well as having, for some of our major projects, we actually have budgets allocated towards our construction management firm. There will be a dedicated, like we had that for South Main, there'll be a dedicated phone number and basically somebody on site to constantly deal with affected businesses, residents. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience in your neighborhood, but definitely we want to make sure that of that. City Council in the last 3 years has been supportive of public works. We've brought these concerns to City Council, and in the past, we only had 4 citywide inspectors to help regulate all of these activities. We've doubled that number, and we're actually building on to our construction engineering team to help mitigate these concerns. So that's wonderful to help support our cause.
Perfect. And I know you mentioned that you're going to try and go around to all the different neighborhood association meetings and associations. I think one thing that's also been really effective from Public Works is the mailers. People didn't know how they could recycle things until they got that mailer. They also weren't conscious about their water until they got that mailer, and I think mailers can be an effective use to say, hey, if there's construction going on, here's a QR code once it rolls out that you can scan with your phone to see the map. And I want to wrap up quicker here. So Bristol Street and Memory Lane Bridge widening is welcomed. I want to mention that just today I saw that there's a sign that said road work up ahead blocking the sidewalk, making it really dangerous for pedestrians to cross that bridge. And for people who are on bikes, of course, bikes can use the road, but that particular bridge is really bicycle unfriendly. And so I'm happy to see that that'll be taking place. And with all of this, especially with the increase of protected bike lanes, it would be nice to see around the city a little bit more messaging on bus stop ads, billboards possibly. I know that the billboards are required to have some sort of percentage of their use dedicated to public service. So some education about how to use the protected bike lanes, or even basic, before we have protected bike lanes, telling folks to ride with traffic and not against traffic on the sidewalks. Because I think they're a benefit, but a lot of folks don't understand necessarily how to use them, especially after they're created. So that's all my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And that's actually something that's a huge priority of our traffic engineering, our ATP funding. And I know SAS works really well, boots on the ground, getting people educated with bicycle terminology. And we can always add in more infrastructure and messaging for sure. Are there any other questions?
Commissioner Welker, City of Stanton has a website that they built where you can look at construction projects. I was trying to find it, but if it's easier, I can email it once I have that information if you want to take a look.
Definitely. I actually have contacts in Stanton, so I'll take a look and see what they have and work with our IT department too. And again, I actually had all these materials. This is my first ETAC meeting, y'all, so thank you for being patient with me. And I didn't know if it was appropriate to give you, I printed out the projects by category, but since it's, to me, I'm like, is it confidential information? I don't know. So anyway, next time we will make sure that we have handouts for you, the slides. But thank you for, I know it was hard to read. We can email that out to you. And thank you. I will go ahead and Google Stanton as soon as I get back to my office because I'm excited. I'm always excited. We do surveys of all the other cities and kind of see what we can steal from their genius ideas. So I'm happy to learn. Borrow. Yes, thank you, Carl. We don't reinvent the wheel over here in local government. Well, if that is everything, then thank you so much for your time. Oh,
I had a question.
Okay.
Commissioner Romero, I saw you mention Logan and Chepa's Park master design. I'm curious, it's such a historic neighborhood. I'm curious how or if you would involve the residents to live in the area, getting their input on that design.
Definitely. That's number one. And I'm very, very excited that that project is, the project manager is going to be Susie Verjanik, and she is, I mean, she's a master architect. She's going to be so awesome when it comes to thinking out every step along the way and keeping in mind that this is just to help us create the preliminary plans and specifications, the design documents. So that community outreach is a huge, huge fundamental part of that process. It will help shape the design for sure.
Yeah, Commissioner Romero, just the good news is now Parks Department has 2 more planners that are working on managing the design of all of the park master planning and also design of many parks improvements that we have. So reaching out to the community will be our first step on the way when we start the design on that particular park. It's pretty small, but we will, of course, reach out to the residents and get their feedback and their needs on what they'd like to see at that park. So that's for sure.
And we have done that with previous CIP projects. I think Mariposa Park right there, I can't remember, but it's nearby to here. We also did similar type of outreach in the community, was very fundamental in that design of that park as well, several years back.
One last thought. Considering the completion of the streetcar and considering that that is such a historic neighborhood near the streetcar, I would hope that you can consider maybe compensating the families who might provide feedback on how to make the neighborhood attractive to the neighbors, but also it may attract a crowd in the future. So maybe, maybe them sharing their stories could be compensated in some way and documented for the purpose of, the history of Santa Ana.
Yes, we're actually so excited that for a lot of our major CIP projects, we actually work with Santa Ana's, I think, like Historic and Arts Commission. And I know that Santa Ana is also doing a lot of ARPA-funded projects for different, like, local community art. So that's something that we're always hoping to infuse local art into all of our projects, and we'll definitely share that with our OCTA counterparts for OCTA Streetcar Project.
This is an ex-commissioner who really now is vacant. I'll get to hear this the second time, but a couple of quick questions to point out is that these funds are really already granted through grants, and so they're not funds that you're going to lose. They're locked in. There is a certain amount of budget that comes out of general fund, I think. Do you know what number that is?
Yes, I do. I will let you know right now. So you are correct that a majority of these funds are restricted, meaning that we do not have flexibility. And for general fund, I will let you know right now. I should have aggregated that. We have it's going to be I'll give you the exact amount. $4,175,000 in general fund money.
Now, also in this too is not included the, and maybe I'm wrong, Myrtle and Rate Park, which I'm very excited seeing coming up. I don't know if I can do that skateboard park, but it's interesting watching for.
Yes, that is separate. That is a grant-funded project. So
Okay.
What Haley mentioned is the general fund allocation for street improvement is about $400 million.
Okay.
But the park is separate.
Would that come into your CIP?
Sure, it's included in the CIP as a project.
Okay.
But it may not show in this financial document of the CIP, but it is in the project from previous years. The document that we have shows what is being approved by council for this fiscal year. However, there is monies and there is projects that have been funded in previous years. These continue with the funding that was allocated to them and will continue to build these things. This particular document, again, is a financial document that goes along with the budget.
Gotcha. And in that case, since those are grant monies, it is secure. It's not going to lose it.
Yes, there is, grants are awarded to the city on the premise that we would finish the project within a particular period of time. So we have the ability to renew some of these, timeframes, but yeah, we try to, finish the project within the limits of the funding, times of the funding, so yeah.
Okay. Two more questions. The lift station is not in this literature either. That's going to be.
It is actually in the CIP, but because it was funded in previous year, it doesn't show in this particular document, but it is in the CIP, and it's completely funded, and it's, I want to say, maybe we're 2 months away from finishing.
Good. Well, we're thankful to have Segerstrom open again, to both, the left-hand turns, that
Yeah,
eliminated an
the
awful lot.
difficult part is being done right now, which is connecting to the trunk sewer that belongs to the OC San.
Do we have a date from OCTA when the streetcars can be finished? Do they have a completion date?
I'll let our city engineer, Rodi Rosas, answer that question.
We have, so, hello, Rudy Rosas. We do have dates, and mind you, these are dates provided by OCTA, which happen to sometimes lag. Right now, the projected in-service date is November 2024. Prior to that, they plan on receiving streetcars at the maintenance facility this summer, and somewhere around the fall of this year, begin to run trains for testing and maintenance purposes. So you'll start everything, if the schedule maintains, by the end of this year, start seeing some streetcars, depending on different segments, but it won't be operational. So in-service date is November 1st, 2024.
In the meantime, is there any way we can get to the county and cut the weeds down in the medium along First Street? They are literally 45 feet tall, and obviously they've been allowed to grow without any weed killer on them. It just looks terrible in the neighborhood to see what looks like it's going to be a nice medium, just covered with weeds right now. So can we make that request of them?
100%, we will remind them of their obligation tomorrow. We meet weekly with staff, and we'll add that to the list of items.
Very good. Thank you.
And thank you for highlighting some of our previous year CIP projects. You're correct that at this stage, these are new funding. So unless we're adding money to an existing project to final it out, most of the projects that you referenced already are going to be constructed in prior year CIP finalizations.
Well, I also want to thank staff and the directors at Saba, because it takes time to get grants. You just don't simply say, I'd like to do this, okay. You had to jump through the hoops, make the, pluses and minuses, and you guys have done a great job of getting funds. Thank you.
This is Commissioner Jermaine. This is definitely a lot of grant funds going into the city for improvements, which look great. Just glad to understand that there's a difference of new funding coming in from new acts, whether it's federal or through the state, and how that is all tagged for your fundings and your CIP is definitely a good move, good reporting. So those are my comments. Does that wrap up all comments or questions, concerns from commissioners? All right. Thank you for the presentation. Moving on to comments and updates from staff and commissioners. Are there comments or updates from staff members?
Thank you, Commissioner. I just want to, again, thank Carl Benninger for being an excellent commissioner for ETAC. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the years that you've been in the commission. We really appreciate the work that you've done. And I do value our relationship very much. And thank you for that. Hope to see you at the, I don't go to the Planning Commission, but maybe I should. Good luck there, and I know you're going to do really well. I would like to remind the Commission of our Public Works Family event on May 20th. And I just wanted to keep it as a surprise for you guys that you, if you attend, you may see the first ever electric trash collection truck. That is, we haven't seen that yet, and that was a promise from Republic Services that Santa Ana will be the first in Orange County, maybe in California, to have its first electric trash collection truck. So it's being shipped as we speak. We're hoping that we would receive it by May 20th, and you get to see it. I'd like to see you there, and thank you very much.
Question to you, colleagues. Where's the electric trash truck being shipped from? Is it within the state or is it out of state?
I want to say from the East Coast, I'll have to check with Christy Kendick on where it's coming from, but I know it's from in the East Coast being manufactured or has been manufactured.
Are there any comments from commissioners? Seeing, okay. Vice Chair Bettinger?
Again, I want to thank everybody for the very kind words today and the gifts from the city. Very much appreciated, and I do appreciate working with all of you and look forward to seeing you in the future. And again, we have a lot to be proud of in Santa Ana. I think the mayor said it best today, but people say, oh, you're from Santa Ana? And we really should say yes and proud of it, and we should be. So thank you.
Commissioner Greensides, last week I went on a road trip between here and to London, Ontario, Canada to visit some family and had the chance to see this huge nation of ours. And in each city I stopped in, it didn't matter if it was a state with a majority Democrat or Republican presence, two things seemed to connect each place. People struggling economically with housing precariousness therein, and secondly, the landscapes that I was witnessing, which were once flowing and teeming with the flora and fauna, with various types of flora and fauna, which has been altered forevermore by overly exploitative speculation via the form of farming and real estate. On my return trip to Santa Ana, I crossed the Ambassador Bridge in Detroit and got turned around trying to get on the correct freeway to head towards Nashville. And driving around that area of Detroit made me really grateful that we have the services we have here in our city. And I'm also very grateful to live in California, which has a history of protecting and fighting for the defense of the natural environment that is existing here. And to that extent, I still think there's still much work to be done in terms of remediating, restoring, and revitalizing public spaces in our city and for the betterment of residents as well as for our local environment. And I'm happy to be a part of this team, and I'm sad to see that Carl won't be here alongside to do it, but nonetheless, I wish you the best.
Commissioner Romero, join us May 27th. It's a Saturday. We're going to have a community bike ride starting at Adams Park. And we expect to have 2 bike routes, so a short route and a long route, 2 miles versus 4 miles. So if you can't join us biking, drive less this month. It's Bike Month. It's National Bike Month. So you can find the information on our Instagram, SA Active Streets, or our website is sascoalition.org.
I just wanted to read the comments again, that we will miss you here, Vice Chair Benninger. And for all of the vacancies that we have on the commission, I just wanted to maybe suggest posting a Facebook post or some of the other social media posts, just because we have a few vacancies now. So that way we can always make a quorum for every meeting.
Commissioner Grinside, I'm glad you see my beloved Detroit, and you see why it's a good city to be from rather than going to. It's a shame because it's such a beautiful state once you get out of Detroit, unfortunately. Commissioner or Chair Germain had to leave at this time, but he asked, was there any further topics that any of the commissioners would like to add to our files, to our request? Okay. Seeing none, I'll move for the adjournment of this meeting. The next meeting of ETAC will be on June 13th at 4 p.m. And so therefore I will declare this meeting closed at 5:03. Thank you, everyone.